Hey, Tim, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for being here.
Hi, Trent. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure from halfway around the world. So, for folks who don't know who you are, let's start with where are you and who are you and what is your company? What does your company do?
I'm right now in Moscow. I'm the CEO of Jivochat. It's a business messenger tool that helps you to communicate with customers. And inside your team, you can connect all possible channels to the messenger. So you can connect your phone, your email, your live chat widget on your site, your Facebook account, and all other possible ways of communicating with your customers, and optimize the ways you handle your sales, support processes. Our tool really helps to increase conversions. A lot of our customers are e-commerces, and we help them to talk to their clients.
Okay. So, in a nutshell, the problem that you're solving for your customers is a way for them to communicate with your customers, regardless of what channel they're reaching out to you over.
Yes, nowadays a new channel appears every half a year,
Right.
so all the big guys are opening their APIs. Facebook's, Instagram, WhatsApp, Apple Business Chat, and customers expect to see your company everywhere everywhere they are. So they used to talk, and that's also different country by country. So they talk to their friends on messengers. They expect businesses to reply in messengers as well,
Okay.
and we'll help to handle all that.
And when did you start the company?
It was January 2012.
2012. And
8 years.
what size? So 8 years old. What size are you today? Either revenue or a number of customers, employees, whatever way you want to answer that.
We have 130 people on our team.
130.
Yep.
Okay.
37,000 paid customers, about 280,000 users in general. 280,000 websites use our live chat widget, for example. Last year we made about $7 million, and well,
Okay.
hopefully growing.
Okay. So you've already been quite successful, and yet you still have lofty goals ahead of you. So what I'd like to do for my audience in the remainder of this interview is we're going to talk a lot about kind of how you got to where you are so that they can be taking notes like Matt and hopefully implementing the things that you're sharing in their own business. So did you raise any money, by the way, or did you bootstrap it?
No, I've bootstrapped, and that's something I had a predisposition towards investors from the beginning. I had an experience with my previous company. I started it as an investor, and I didn't really like how it turned out. I didn't like the feeling of somebody keeping control of things.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the idea of needing to raise more money from him to dilute my share even further. So when we planned the company with my partner, we tried to do everything to keep investors away.
Okay. And you succeeded in that? So it's just you and your partner, the only shareholders?
Yes, now it's just me and my partner.
Okay. All right. So let's talk early on when the product had just really come out of alpha or beta, whatever you'd like to call it, and you were ready for your very, very early customers. You needed to get, probably a couple hundred people using the platform so that you could get feedback. How did you get those early adopters?
I think I started with opening my phone book and calling friends who had e-commerce businesses, and I was giving them an offer to use our software for free, and I was hoping to get initial word out that now you can use Jivochat to talk with customers on websites. Then we went through all possible guerrilla marketing techniques. We spammed forums where web developers were discussing their coding stuff. We went to conferences and were approaching partners there. We went to marketing agencies and offered them affiliate revenue share. Well, we did anything that we could do without investing money in marketing because, well, quite frankly, we didn't have any money. We didn't have money to run Google Ads, to rent an office, and try to be cash positive as soon as possible.
So if you had it to do again and you had some money, would you still invest your time early on in activities that really didn't scale very well and were highly labor intensive? Or if you had some money, do you think, well, heck, I'm just going to run some ads on Facebook, or I'm going to do some cold email outreach, or some other type of method that does scale a little bit or a lot better than what you were doing early on?
Well, times are changing, and I don't think that things that worked 8 years ago will work now in the same situation. Because back then, I remember that it was, well, even Google Ads were quite cheap in Russia. Now they, I don't know, 3 or 5 times more expensive. Clicks are more expensive. I think same is going on in all markets, because as time goes on, competition gets only more tight. So I'm not sure. Maybe the window of opportunity is still open, and you can still guerrilla marketing your growth in the beginning. But my feeling is that that window is closing, because for example, in the area where we are now, competitors provide much better products at much cheaper price than back when we started. And that definitely means that you might have problems with growth hacks that we used then.
So it's a bit of a loaded question for me, because you may or may not recall, I also own a SaaS business called Flowster. We didn't do necessarily any guerrilla marketing tactics, because I had an audience already, and I had, on a way to put eyeballs on it. And in the first year, it really kind of lived off of the Bright Ideas brand. And so we attracted, 500-600 paid users and several thousand, almost 4,000 free users. But now we're getting to the point where we want to make it stand on its own legs. And so things I'm considering are scaled cold email outreach, and of course ads on Facebook and ads on Google. You've sort of been through it, but you did it years ago. To get my next, say, 1,000 plus paid users, would you be doing something other than what I just described?
Well, in my business, probably best decision that we ever made is running with freemium version of the product and getting eyeballs powered by Jivochat link that free users post on their website. And all other advertising investments were sort of supporting that growth. So even if we saw a negative ROI on some campaigns, if we paid more for Google clicks than we made in revenue, we thought that it would be okay, because then all those revenues will be multiplied by this powered by traffic. Traffic that comes from those customers. And for example, when we started in local markets, for example, we were quite successful in countries like Brazil, in Turkey, in Spanish-speaking Latin America. At first, we had to invest money in paid advertising to get initial user base. But then eventually, in about a year or year and a half, we got organic growth from that initial user base. Actually, that was word of mouth. And right now, we're close to being number one live chat widget in Brazil, for example. And that's mostly because of organic traffic. I definitely can say that we probably could do a better job at things like content marketing, like social media, maybe building communities. And the reason why we're still growing and have revenue is because we have a very, very effective freemium model working for us. So I can say regarding your product, what would I do there? Because at Jivochat, we're more focused on getting as many free users as possible, and then showing them the value of our premium version to convert. part of them.
Okay. So if I've heard you correctly, the fact that you've got a large installed base, you've got a little button on there that says powered by Jivochat, that's driving the bulk of the traffic to your website, correct?
Yes, I think I made calculations for 2019, and it was something like 30% of paid users that we got in 2019 came from paid advertising channels, and 70% were organic.
Okay. So I'm looking at your homepage now. Top half is green, stand out with perfect customer service. How many iterations, how the current version of the homepage with that, unless you're running split testing, maybe I'm seeing just one of a number of versions that you have.
I think there are no tests growing right now.
Okay. So how long with the current version of the homepage?
Well, I think we redesign things once every couple of years, but the page that you're looking at right now is not the primary generator of our signups. When you click powered by Jivochat link, you'll probably get to another page, and that's where most of our signups are coming for. But yeah, we did do a couple of changes, and we're in the process of a big change right now. We're sort of pivoting our positioning.
Yeah.
So Jivochat will be a bit more than about communications. We will help our customers to facilitate sales and support processes by and a CRM system integrated in our messenger. So you will be able to do follow-ups, set reminders, monitor funnel statuses of the customers, looking at CRM reports, assigning leads to your sales or support team. Because what we noticed is a lot of our customers do not have right tools for that. Mm-hmm. They are already too big to use Excel or email inbox for that, but not too big yet to implement a proper CRM solution.
Yep.
That's why we're making a product for that niche.
Okay, so if I was to click the powered by Jivochat link, what page would that take me to? And is that easy for us to get to? Because I want to ask you some questions about it.
Well, I think since you already entered the main page, probably you will not notice any difference. It's only for people who see live chat on other sites and come to us by clicking the powered by link. But I can tell you about the front page as you see it.
Yeah, well, where I'm going with my line of questioning is I want to help my audience to be able to have an over-the-shoulder look at kind of what your primary call to action is that's converting well. Then I want to talk about what the funnel looks like. So if you can answer the question without me looking at the page, that's fine. So if someone clicks that link, they're going to see this page. What does the call to action look like on that page?
It's just a sign up button. So if you clicked powered by Jivochat link, that probably means that you already know what you're looking for. You want same chat widget for your own site.
Got it.
And we try to get your sign up right away without distracting you with more details.
Yep.
So the basic idea is that on the front page you just need to understand what kind of a solution Jivochat is, and you need to start trying it out as soon as possible.
And so if they enter their email address into your home page, they're going to get a freemium version of it, or they're going to get a limited time trial. What happens?
It's a time trial followed by unlimited time free version. Okay. So if you have 2 weeks to try out the premium version, and then you get switched to the free version.
Okay. Now, in a company with the number of employees that you have, I'm guessing you probably did not write the welcome series in the emails, but do you know off the top of your head kind of what that funnel looks like and what some of the messaging is?
Well, the funny thing that I'm still writing some of the emails. You can call me paranoid, but I cannot delegate some things in my
Fair enough.
company, and writing messages is one of those things. I still write most of the interface messages on the buttons, on the
Yeah.
home screens. Just today, I was rewriting some of the interfaces, new features. I don't know why I cannot. I don't like what other guys are doing here, and I always paranoid about every letter on those messages. So I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe it's
I think that you can make a case for doing that. It's a very high value activity that does not require an immense amount of repeatable labor. Therefore, the ROI on your time is very, very high. And so that's a pretty good reason to be doing it yourself.
I need to write that down.
Well, you could just watch it again. Hey, like, just play this portion for your staff later.
You just made me feeling better about myself. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so again,
yes, I can tell you about our email funnel,
do.
how it works. So during the after the sign up, you get 3 or 4 letters telling about different features that we want to get you using. So during the 14 days trial, our first goal is to get you using the product. So we remind you if you do not install the code on your site. We remind you if you don't download and install the app on your computer. If you don't download the app on your phone, we try to we try to get you to the aha moment. Well, same as most of SaaS businesses. And on the 14th day, we get usually a peak of payments. Well, that's predictable. And I believe if you have activity on your account and like you installed the widget, you downloaded the app, you have some chats with customers, probably 5 or 7 days before expiration of the trial period, you'll get a call or a message from our sales team.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that we talked about this because I remember particularly when you and I did the pre-interview, I was blown away by when you sent me that graph that showed your growth rate before you created the sales team and then what happened to it after. So let's dive deep into that because I think that's an area where we could give a lot of value.
Yes, that's true.
So you didn't used to have an inside sales team.
Yes, for the first couple of years, we didn't have a sales team.
Yeah, you were growing at we'll call it that for people who are watching this on YouTube. You were growing at a certain slope, which was decent but wasn't incredible. And then you decided to put an inside sales team in place, and it had a profound impact on your growth rate. So let's unpack all of that.
Yes, that's true. So it was August 2013, I think, or 13. Yeah, we were working with the trigger emails and the interface banners that were promoting the value of paid version. And to be honest, I was under impression that we cannot afford a sales team because our product is so cheap. The license is only $19, and we have a majority of free users. I was thinking that we will not be able to cover the costs of an inside sales team. But then I decided to run an experiment. So we got a team of 6 people, I think, at the beginning, who were calling only prospective accounts. So we were sorting them by some metrics, like number of visitors on their sites, number of chats, number of agent accounts that they had with our system. And yes, what we noticed is that the speed of growth of paid accounts has doubled since then. And
so let me interrupt quickly. Don't lose your train of thought. But you said you called them. Were you getting a phone number in the opt-in?
Yes, we ask people to leave their phone number during the sign-up process, but only about half of them actually give their phone number. We didn't make it a mandatory question. So for the rest of the customers, our sales guys just they just go to the websites of our customers and get phone numbers from there.
Yeah.
So they have a technique of reaching customers. It's not a big
Sure,
deal.
because you can look at the domain name. Yeah. Okay, straightforward.
Yep.
Okay. So this experiment, you'd never built an inside sales team before. So you had this idea, you thought, hey, I want to try this out. You're obviously dealing with probably somewhat limited resources at that point in time. So it's not like you want to go out and blow, $100 or $200,000,
That's true.
because that would have been a big deal. So how did you do it? How did you solve this problem in a way that was that the level of risk was something you could stomach with a budget you could afford?
Well, I hired a guy who had experience building those teams. Actually, I didn't hire him because I couldn't afford him at the time. I just asked him to build it for me as a project. So he came for 4 or 5 months, and our agreement was that he will get a bonus based as a percentage of an increased growth that the sales team will provide. So we extrapolated the line of growth that I showed you on the graph. So if we continue growing linearly, the revenue over the 4 months will be the following, and he will get, I don't remember the exact number, but let's say 20% of our profit over that number. And yes, it worked out. So that decreased risk for me.
So let me get into some details on that. So did you have to pay him? You must have had to pay him some kind of upfront fee or retainer or whatever during the 4 or 5 months. I don't imagine he did it all on a performance basis.
Yes, but it was not substantial because the guy was more or less sure about the outcome. So he agreed to receive. I think it was about 30% fixed, 70% bonus in the end.
Okay, and you make a good point. I mean, if he's done this before and he's seen the results before, he knows what's coming his way in terms of a payday. How long did you agree to pay him the performance aspect of it after his project was done?
There was no such period, so he received a bonus for those 4 or 5 months that we agreed upon.
Okay.
And
so how long did, so you engage, you sign a contract, you say, okay, you're going to, we start, today's day one. He had to then go out and recruit and train, I think it was, you said, a half a dozen inside salespeople. They were not employees at this point in time. He had to go.
No, I hired them as employees of the company.
Yeah, but they were new. It's not like they were in some other role. Okay, so
they were new people.
So how long did it take him to get these 6 people sort of, relatively speaking, up to speed so they were producing some measurable results? Did that all happen within the first 30 days?
Well, actually, yes. I was surprised that it didn't take quite a long time. They just need to. The thing is that at first that guy started working in the sales process himself, figured out the tactics that the guys need to use, and then he just teach them tactics. He gave them exact scripts. How do they reach guys that made decision? How do they present the product to them? How do they solve problems that the guys might have? How they give them the proof of value of our product. So he more or less showed them an example, a model how to work. Okay. And that's probably why it took quite this not so long.
Okay.
The guy started.
So maybe he did the role for a couple of weeks and long enough for an experienced person to go, all right, I've got this figured out. I know what scripts and processes I need, created some documentation, started to train everybody else. And then, so for the next, the second month, third month, fourth month, he is basically managing the process. The reps are doing all the calls. You're getting results. You're happy. He's getting performance compensation. He's happy. And did you end up hiring him full-time afterwards? Or did you, when the contract was done, did he say, thanks very much, see you later?
No, actually, I did another thing that I retrospectively probably is not the right move. I suggested him to start a new business together.
To
because
start a
I
business with
thought that
him,
yes, because
separate from Jivochat.
yes,
Okay.
uh, um, because I thought that his ambitions were too high to work in the team that he just created. He
Yeah.
wanted more, and I suggested him to find a business idea that was around Jivochat, that a business a SaaS tool that can be sold to customers who use Jivochat,
Yeah.
but to create it as a separate business.
Yeah.
It didn't turn out quite well, so we made a couple of hundred paid customers at the tool that he created. It was he made a tool for recovering abandoned carts at the e-commerce websites.
Yep.
But it was a valuable experience anyway, so I learned how not to do investments.
Yeah. Okay. So he
and
served his,
I'm sorry.
I was going to say, so he served his role very, very well in the initial project. The secondary
Yeah,
project wasn't a success, but that was
yeah.
kind of neither here nor there in the grand scheme of things, because now you've got an inside sales team. Who manages the inside sales team now? Did you end up promoting one of the people on the team to be the manager? Did you hire somebody else, or how does that work?
Well, back then, yes, that's how it went. So I promoted one of the managers of the team to be team leaders, a team leader of the sales team. Now I have two team leaders. I have separate teams for new sales and for recurring sales with different compensation models. Historically, initially we had one separate team, then we split them into two teams, then we went back to having one team, but now we're back to having two separate teams because in the end it turned out to be hard to combine compensations for new sales and the recurring sales.
So you have customers all around the world. So I'm guessing you also have your sales team dispersed around the world because there's different countries, languages, cultures, and so forth.
Yes, that's true.
So let's talk about the sales team for new customers. I'm interested in what their compensation structure looks like. So what can you tell me about that?
That's a good question. That's quite a tricky formula. So the basic of the formula are three coefficients. We call them K1, K2, K3. So one of them is conversion rate from leads that were assigned to a manager to sales. So conversion by the number of assigned leads converted to paid users. So you get 200 leads per month, you convert 30 of them, it's 50% conversion rate. So next one is the conversion rate in dollars. How much money do you make on one lead assigned to you? So for example, if you get 200 leads per month and you make, I don't know, $100K out of those 200 leads, that's your revenue per lead.
Okay.
And second one is the conversion rate by the number of agent licenses. So in Jivochat, we sell software number of seats of the agents that you want to use for supporting your customers. Yeah. And third conversion is what is the average number of seats that you sell to the customer.
Is that different than conversion rate by paid number of agent licenses?
The first conversion is not by number of agent licenses, but the number of licenses, number of customers converted to paid.
Okay, so I want to make sure I understood that, because I got four here, so clearly I've misunderstood something. You said the first performance that they were measured against was leads converted to sales.
Yes.
You get 200 leads, how many sales did you make? The second one was how many dollars per lead did you generate?
Yes.
And the third one, is it simply average number of seats sold to each?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Exactly.
Okay.
And for each of those coefficients, we have a scale. So if you make, for example, 80% conversion I'm sorry, 20% conversion on number of leads, or you get I don't remember what's the amount, like $20 per assigned lead, and then your salary is relatively high. So each coefficient translates to a number, to a bonus number like 1, 2, or 3, and then we add them up and multiply by base bonus. So, for example, in case you get all bonuses correctly, they are high. Your salary is very high, so it's twice what's average on the market.
Okay.
If the conversions drop, then the salary drops very fast. So there are steep steps from one. For example, if you get 20% conversion, you have a very high salary. If you get 19.5, it drops.
Yep.
If you get and drops dramatically, like 50% or 30%.
Yep.
So that was the idea that we came to, that linear dependency between sales performance and the bonus is wrong probably for the teams. You need to get to introduce steep steps when calculating bonuses.
Okay, so if I was to summarize that, and I want to clarify one thing. You've mentioned the word salary, but it's not actually salary, it's total compensation. Because
compensation, yes.
Is there a fixed base salary involved here, or is their compensation only dependent upon their performance?
Well, that's a tricky part. There is a fixed item in the formula, but also there is a minimum salary that they will get even if the formula gives a lesser amount.
Okay. But so what you've essentially accomplished with this comp plan is your superstars make a lot of money and everybody else pretty much just starves out of your organization.
Well, I wouldn't say that everyone starves. The guys in the bottom 20%, they starve, yes. And that was the idea. If you don't perform,
you want to get rid of them.
Then you get an uncomfortable salary. So we don't have to get rid of you. You will leave yourself.
Yeah.
But yes, the top guys are who perform very good. They get twice what they can get on the market.
Okay, makes perfect sense. All right, let's talk a little bit about. I'm just looking at the questions we went through in the pre-interview. Talk about your company culture. So you're a remote organization. So that means the employees, they're not hanging out in the lunchroom. They're not gathering around the water cooler. And I guess these days we're recording this April 2nd in the middle of COVID-19. And a lot of organizations have just become remote organizations against their will.
Yes.
So what have you done to create a culture that works to allow your organization to thrive, which it has obviously done, with the fact that everyone's just spread out, probably working out of their houses, spread around the world?
Yeah, that's a good question. To be honest, I would really love to know the answer myself. What did we do right? Why did it work out? I don't have a clear answer for that. Probably initially we had just idea that we don't have to be in the same room to be effective. So we just did what we had to do. We hired guys and gave them interesting jobs and didn't stay in their ways to do what they're doing. Probably what we did, we put a lot of trust in the guys that we hired, because to be honest, in the beginning it was scary to hire a guy, to pay him salary, to sign a contract with him while not seeing him at all, and not knowing him. So yeah, that was a huge leap of faith in the beginning. But then we just got comfortable with that, and it turned out to be mutual. So when the guys saw that we trust them, they began to trust us and to see that being part of our company is something they enjoy. So actually, what guys told me is that I was hiring everyone myself at the beginning. So when I sent emails like, hey, my name is Tim from Jivochat, please join our company. We don't have an office, so you'll have to work from home. They were suspicious because 8 years ago,
Yeah.
working remotely wasn't something that was common. Right
Yeah.
now, most of the guys that we hire, they come to us looking for remote job specifically. So
Yeah.
it changed. Guys love the fact that they can go to Bali for the winter, for example.
Yeah.
Uh, some of our programmers do that.
Yeah. Why
uh,
not?
so yes, I think we didn't do something special to make it work. We just uh, organized processes for the guys so they have everything they need. And but of course there were a couple of rules that we had to introduce. For example, we don't allow calls without video. You have to be looking at the camera while you're talking to colleagues, even if those are one-on-one calls. You
Mhm.
have to lock the door in the room where you're working, or you have to rent a separate flat or an office where you work from. And sometimes we pay for those offices for our guys.
And that's
Uh,
to reduce like kids coming in and distractions and all that
yes,
kind of stuff.
of course, it's impossible to work, and it's funny that a lot of guys don't understand that. The guys working in the kitchen, in the living rooms, with the cats, dogs, and children.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
Uh, so when we introduced that basic hygiene of working remotely, I don't remember that things were complicated in any case. Of course, there are some processes that are quite hard to organize when working remotely. For example, sharing experience, because when you work in the office, you talk at water coolers and
Yeah.
just see that the other guys are better than you at something, and you try to learn from them. When you're working from your own office, you're the smartest guy in the room,
Yeah.
so you don't even know how do you need to grow, develop. But that's totally solvable. We just need to introduce special meetings or events for our guys to share experience. For example, in just today we were giving out bonuses for the past quarter. It's called the Tech Bonus Program. So programmers get gifts and prizes for uh, giving interesting presentations for the team
Mhm.
about technologies that they learned, or a problem that they solved, or something interesting to the technical team. And the best presentation gets a bonus.
Yeah, actually, that was came across my radar screen. Something very similar. Yesterday, the company talked about having a scholarship fund and how when employees bring some type of innovation to the company that benefits the company in the long term, they've created an automation or they've created a more clever way of doing something or it's
Mm-hmm.
more efficient or whatever it is, then they get an award out of the scholarship fund so that they share
That's cool.
in the benefit
Cool
that they
idea.
brought to the company. So do you use something like Hubstaff, for example, which is a way of randomly taking screenshots of your employees' work so that you can sort of see whether they're being productive or not? Or how do you manage or measure productivity, especially for new employees who you don't really have that relationship with yet?
Well, no, we don't use any remote screen control tools. I think it's not very productive because they are easily tricked. And if the guy wants to, I don't know, watch Netflix or sit in the kitchen and not working all day long, he will do that. And no matter if he's in the office, if he is at
Yeah.
home, so you won't stop him. The only thing that is reliable in measuring effectiveness is measuring the result. So you just ask guys to show what they've done. And actually, when you're working remotely, it's even easier to judge on the result because when the guys working in the office, they can always appeal to the fact that here I am, I'm working.
Yeah.
from 9 to 6. When he's working remotely, he can't say that. I don't know where he was the whole day. The only thing he can show me is the result.
Yeah.
It's either there or it's not. So I don't see any problems here, and I don't see how taking screenshots helps
Yeah.
in this case.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point. I think you're right. If you've hired the right person, then you really shouldn't have to worry about it. All right. Final question. We talked about compensation. We didn't really talk about your recruiting strategy for attracting these folks. Are you saying now that you're at a point where they're just all kind of reaching out to you because your company in certain spheres has this reputation? But how do you attract people?
Well, I would like them to reach out to us because we're on the radar, but I'm not. I'm afraid we're not there yet. So we have to hunt for heads, and actually the competition for programmer heads is becoming more and more tight. So nowadays, guys, right out of college, they ask for insane salaries. Yeah, actually working remotely is one of our wildcards. So that's for us. That's a way to compete with the big tech companies who hunt the best programmers. We say that if you go to Jivochat, you can go to Bali at winter, and actually that's working for us.
Oh yeah, for some people that's hugely valuable.
Yeah, and actually also working remotely gives us opportunity to hire from any city and any country, and that's very important because if we lock ourselves in a certain city or even area, we have like 100 times less choice in potential employees.
So because you hire people from all around the globe, in each and every country, there's going to be different websites which are popular for posting your job ads on, and you've gone and had local people figure out which of those sites you should be using for whatever country you're trying to hire from, or where do you post the jobs?
Well, yes, but there's LinkedIn and there's Upwork. So those are our two main sources of candidates.
So on LinkedIn, do you post jobs on LinkedIn, or do you literally go and recruit on LinkedIn and find people who are already employed?
Most of the times we recruit guys directly on LinkedIn. Well, basically same for Upwork. I don't think that posting a job and waiting for resumes to come is a good strategy for us anywhere. Okay. From what I understand, it used to work before, but now the best guys are hunted even before they start applying for vacations.
All right. I'm sure we could go longer, but unfortunately I have a hard stop in about 3 minutes. So we will have to sign off here. I want to thank you very much, Tim, for coming and being on the show. I don't recall if we talked about it before, but if you have any special offers or anything you want to make to my audience, you can send me the information and I'll put it into the show notes so people can come who are interested in maybe trying your software. If you have anything, send me over something. And,
sure, I'd be happy to give the discount for your audience.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for that. And again, thank you very much for staying up late for your time and making some time to come be on the show.
Thanks for having me, Trent.